Probably I want to talk about two things just now. First of all is that community planning for me is about creating space for people to get about and do their job in a very different way. So whether they work for the council, the health board, the police, the third sector, they can work with each other and they know that they have, I guess, my authority, the authority of the chief executive of the health board and so on. And they can make just much more amazing things happen on the ground. They can be much more creative and they're not always coming back and seeking permission to do things. And that for me results in hugely surprising outcomes because people do things, I don't know about it, I find out about it once they've done it and it's like fabulous. They've just gone and made this improvement happen. And a big example of that was the Carina website that Partners produced to provide information for carers and won a gold COSLA award a couple of years ago. But the other thing that community planning means for me is about taking the opportunity to share with partners in the local area the really, really good things that we do. So for example, today we're doing the interview in Garlick campus and you can probably hear some of the noise of the young people out at the back of me. And we've had a great time showing around the Chief Superintendent and the Chief Executive of the Health Board, and for them to be thinking then, right, what does having this facility in this area really mean to me and the way my COPs or my health visitors or my nurses are doing their job. It makes me think more carefully about how and where I work in partnership. It would be very easy for me to just work with those people over whom I have the most influence and I guess the most control, and that won't actually produce the best outcomes for people that live in North Ayrshire because I need to work with others. For me, my partnership skills at a professional level have had to develop immensely over the last few years. I think partnership working is probably the most difficult and the hardest thing that I do, except within our community planning partnership, because our community planning partners are all really up for working together and nothing is ever too much of an ask. So partnership working, while it's challenging, is a skill that I have, I guess, refined and honed over the last few years, and that's what it means to me about how I go about my work. If I think about specifically children, one of the amazing things that we've done as a community planning partnership has been to change radically how we deal with cases of domestic abuse. Excuse me. And we now have a multi-agency team that responds to domestic abuse, but importantly what they do is they look at what support children in cases of domestic abuse need. It has meant a massive reduction in the number of children that we report to the Children's Reporter System. It means a massive reduction in the number of children that are going in front of children's panels, and it means that children in North Ayrshire are being better supported and cared for and having their needs responded to a lot faster than they ever were before. Now that's a very specific and very positive impact for those children. And we introduced environmental visual audits a few years ago, and this has been part of our response to community safety and trying to involve our communities much more in making sure that their communities are safer places to live and play and to just be in. And the environmental visual audits have been running now for about 6-7 years. They're as popular now as they were when we first introduced them. Lots of members of the community come out to participate in them. We walk around, we have a look to see in what way can the local area be improved, and it might be a bit of weeding, it might be getting rid of some graffiti, it might be mending some broken windows, or it might be just getting out and giving it a more of a clean. And quite often what we'll get on the back of that are volunteering litter squads and things like that. So that again changes how a small neighbourhood in North Ayrshire has improved on the back of something that the community planning partnership allowed to happen. And that wasn't something I sat over particularly, but was something that bubbled up from below. The locality partnerships have been, I guess, the next evolution of where we've taken community planning, where we've brought people from our local communities into our decision making, and that's been hard. It's been really hard, particularly for our elected members, to devolve some of that decision making, to let control go to some of the members of their communities. But it's been really hard for people in the community to come in and work out that we really mean this, that we can be trusted, that we can be believed in. So working with locality partnerships is fundamentally changing. It's fundamentally changing the relationship that we have with our communities. We have built up new levels of trust that will continue. We have been able to introduce in the first year, fortunately, some participatory budgeting, or what we call community choices events, which allow local people to decide how to spend small amounts of local money, but for things that are very personal and hold huge emotional value to them, to make that change in their local area.